and play on 2nd and 10. That's his youth right there.
Tagovailoa trying to make up for it. Fires to the end zone. Touchdown! Alabama wins!
So today I'll be filming my Week 9 college football predictions video for the 3 biggest games of this week. So starting with Texas A&M at LSU. So, well, Texas A&M does seem to have a much better team than LSU does. LSU has to win this game to keep their college football playoff hopes alive because they already have 2 losses. And I think this is also a must-win game for Brian Kelly because if you look at his records at LSU, they all have been good, but he still hasn't had an elite team. And at LSU, you're expected to have an elite team and win the SEC at least every once in a while. And this was supposed to be the year that he finally had an elite team because LSU spent so much money on this roster. And well, I don't think LSU's making the college football playoff, whether if they win this game or not. If they lose this game, with their next game being on the road at Alabama, that's probably going to be a loss. So that would put LSU at 5-4, and at 5-4. I don't think Brian Kelly is going to be LSU's coach anymore. So LSU's secondary was not the problem against Vanderbilt. They held Diego Pavia to just 160 yards passing. They actually played pretty well in the secondary last week. And 2 of the transfer portal defensive backs that LSU brought in have been huge hits for them. AJ Halsey is one of the best safeties in the country. He's already got 52 tackles, and he's also got 2 pass breakups and an interception and a forced fumble. And Mansour Delane has been one of the best cornerbacks in the country. He's a lockdown corner. He's got 28 tackles and 6 pass breakups and an interception. And this is good for LSU because the 2 transfer portal wide receivers that Texas A&M brought in have been huge hits for them. Mario Craver and Kevin Concepcion. They've combined so far for 68 catches for 1,158 yards and 10 touchdowns. And a concerning thing for LSU is they let Pavia run for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns on them. And if you're an LSU fan, you know that Texas A&M's quarterback Marcel Reed is also pretty good with his legs. Because in the second half last year against LSU, he came into the game and LSU couldn't stop him. He ran 9 times for 62 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaging 6.9 yards per run. Marcel Reed is like a more talented version of Diego Pavia, but he's a different quarterback than he was last year. Last year, he was a runner that could also throw, and this year, he's a pass first quarterback that is also dangerous with his legs. He's a better passer than he was a year ago.
The field, and everybody else is down close to the line of scrimmage to stop the run.
On the play action downfield.
And while he doesn't do near as many of those design quarterback runs as he did a year ago, he's not a statue like Garrett Nussmeier, who Nussmeier, when he can't find an open wide receiver immediately, he usually either gets sacked or has to throw it away. Marcel Reed, and if he can't find an open wide receiver, immediately he takes off running. And if LSU's run defense can't play better than it did against Vanderbilt, they're going to get blown out because Texas A&M has a much better offensive line than Vanderbilt does. Their offensive line has only given up 7 sacks all year, and they're averaging 196.7 rushing yards per game and 5 yards per run. Now, Texas A&M starting running back Le'Veon Moss missed last week's game against Arkansas with an injury, and I don't know if he'll play in this game or not. But they've got Reuben Owens, who's a good running back too. He did a nice job filling in for Moss against Arkansas, running 14 times for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they've also got E.J. Smith, who played well against Arkansas, running 7 times for 52 yards, averaging 7.4 a carry. So I haven't seen if Whit Weeks is going to play in this game or not. My guess would be that he at least tries to play, even if he can't finish the game. But it would be a big help to LSU's defense if Whit Weeks can play because he's not only LSU's best defensive player, I think he's the best player on LSU's team this season because no one on LSU's offense has been amazing so far. And while LSU's offense has been very bad this year, Texas A&M's defense hasn't been amazing. It's not been as good as I thought it was going to be. They're actually coming off their worst performance of the season against Arkansas. And while I know Arkansas does have a pretty good offense, giving up 42 points to somebody is always bad. While LSU, I don't think will score a lot in this game. A&M doesn't have one of those defenses where it would be impossible for LSU to be able to move the ball some on them. And A&M is the only undefeated team left in the SEC, and no one is going undefeated this year in the SEC. And with this being a home game, I think LSU's defense will be playing at their best. LSU's defense, not even just this year, but really almost always has played a lot better when they've been at home. And with LSU having no more room for error when it comes to making the playoffs, and Brian Kelly's job probably being insecure now, even though I think this game will go down to the last play, I think LSU finds a way to win this game. I've got LSU getting the win over Texas A&M by a score of 24-23. So now Ole Miss at Oklahoma. So the Ole Miss offensive line does not match up well at all with the Oklahoma defensive line. The Oklahoma defensive line is even better than Georgia, who Ole Miss just faced last week. It's not that their starters are better than Georgia's. It's that they've got even more depth this year on the defensive line than Georgia does. So their defensive line really doesn't get tired. But some good news for Ole Miss is as bad as their run defense has been, Oklahoma's run game has not been very good this year for the most part. They're only averaging 129.3 yards rushing per game. And Oklahoma, well, I do think they'll be able to shut down the Ole Miss run game for the most part. Oklahoma's offensive line is nowhere near as good as who Ole Miss faced a week ago at Georgia. And John Mateer must still not be fully healthy because even against South Carolina, his legs weren't much of a help. only running for 14 yards on 8 carries. And Jaden Ott, who I thought would be Oklahoma's top running back, he must be hurt because he's had almost no involvement with their offense all year. Their top running back seems to be a freshman, Blaylock. He's coming off a good game against South Carolina where he ran 101 yards and a touchdown on 19 carries. And some more good news for Ole Miss is, for the most part, their secondary has been okay. Uh, they're giving up on average 195.6 yards passing per game. And Oklahoma's offense has been leaning heavily on their passing. Isaiah Sigtane has become John Mateer's favorite target. He's got 37 catches for 493 and four touchdowns. And Oklahoma's offense still hasn't put together a good game against the Power Four team this season. Their defense has been mostly carrying them. Some good news for Oklahoma, though, is Ole Miss has not been able to get much pressure on quarterbacks. And Oklahoma, I do think, will get a lot of pressure on Trinidad Chambliss. Mason Thomas on the defensive line is one of the best pass rushers in the country. He's already got 5.5 sacks this season.
Protection. That's why he's been out there a lot. The fake to Cobb! And it is our Mason Thomas.
But with Chambliss being a good runner, I do think he'll be able to get out of some of those pressures and get some good runs. And Oklahoma's defense, while it's been shutting down like 90% of plays, they have been giving up several explosive plays each game. And the Ole Miss offense, while I do think Oklahoma can slow it down, I don't think they can shut it down. Ole Miss, they're one of the most explosive offenses in college football. And I do think Chambliss will complete several deep balls in this game. It was nice last week to see Trey Wallace finally get involved in the pass catching again. He had 4 catches for 39 yards, and while that's not amazing, it's more than he had in the 3 games before that combined. And the explosive tight end, Daquan Wright, for Ole Miss, I think will make a big play or two in this game. And while I think this game will come down to the last play, I think Ole Miss finds a way to win this game. I've got Ole Miss getting the win over Oklahoma by a score of 27-24. So now Missouri at Vanderbilt. So Vanderbilt's offense overall does seem to be a little bit better than Missouri's is. And I would take Diego Pavia over Bo Prabila at quarterback by a little bit because he of his legs. But Missouri is averaging 244.9 yards rushing per game, which ranks 7th in the country because of their running back, Ahmad Hardy. I think he's the second best running back in the country. And Missouri, I do think, has a better wide receiver room than Vanderbilt does because Vanderbilt doesn't have a wide receiver near as good as Missouri's Kevin Coleman. But Vanderbilt does have the tight end advantage. Their tight end, Eli Stowers, is a top 5 tight end in the country. He's got so far this year 28 catches for 355 yards. And some good news for Vanderbilt is their run defense has been really good. They're only giving up on average at 92 yards rushing per game, so I think they can slow down Missouri's run game some. But Missouri's defense is better than Vanderbilt's overall. I think Vanderbilt has been having some trouble in the secondary. They're giving up 223 yards passing per game on average, and I think Missouri can give them a lot of problems there. Missouri's defense is only giving up 83.9 rushing yards per game and 159.1 passing yards per game. I think they're able to slow down the Vanderbilt offense some. And I think that Missouri will be able to run the football in this one a little better than Vanderbilt will. The winner of this game, while I would say they'll have a good chance to make the college football playoff, I still wouldn't say that they're likely going to make it yet. But the loser of this game, I would say that even though this would only be their second loss, they're likely going to miss out on the college football playoff. I think Missouri, though, is a little bit better of a team, and I've got them getting the win over Vanderbilt by a score of 31-27 in a game that I think will probably go down to the last play. But that will be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.